Well, hello, welcome to Rugby Station, and it kind of feels it doesn't matter what time of the day you're watching this, it feels like saying good morning because, of course, we are on the Caledonian Sleeper and it's the early morning, and this is the brand new Class 92 Enhancement Pack, and I've also finally bought the ATS Mark 5 pack as well, so I thought I'd take this for a spin. So let's get the train set up. This is I think they call this the Annunciator or something, this thing down here, but good to see it in working order, which is excellent. Just put that up so we can see what we're doing. Get the AWS on. The brake release, fairly easy to do really, because you've just got to wait for that to go all the way past. We don't want the cab light on, but we will have that on, and then make sure we've got some headlights on, and we've removed that tail light as well, so that's pretty good. So we're waiting for a Pendolino to pass us by. So first of all, quick look at how good this livery is. The textures on that is absolutely wonderful. And then the Caledonian Sleeper, well, it's the first time that I've had the advantage of this. I mean, it came out the latter end of 2023, I think it was, made by Max Mortimer, and he's done a superb job. And just in case you were wondering whether there's an inside view or not, well, if you've ever been on the Caledonian Sleeper, I've been on this Mark 5 the once, well, that's the club car. That's where you'd be sit having breakfast or your evening meal potentially. And it's good that they've kind of got those seats at the side for so that you're not sitting opposite somebody if you're on your own, which is obviously quite often the case if you are a solo traveller. And in case you're thinking, well, that's a bit boring, fancy only having the view from the club car, well, what about the view from the berth? Hope if I press the right buttons, of course. And there's a double bunk. It's pretty empty at the moment, doesn't it? And then on the other side you've got kind of the door and the decent representation of it. Now, in real life, you would have you'd have a shower, of course, so I don't know if it's all of that's on there, but either way, it's very, very nice to see. And we've got a green signal, so that means we can go. So we have got the brakes off. So it's a chance to hear the new sounds as well for the first time. So we'll get that up, the speed set up to 75. Not sure I should actually be sounding the horn at this time of the morning. We are non-stop all the way through to London Euston, and this is the Lowland Sleeper, so we've come from Inverness and Aberdeen, so a little crew change here at Rugby. Long old train, as you can see. We are restricted, incidentally, to 80 miles an hour for this service because we are not meant to be exactly waking our passengers. So Kate says 125 there, but we'll put that up to 80. just a quick check on what the briefing says. You're currently held at Rugby. Well, we've sorted that to allow a Wolverhampton Pendolino to pass. Well, we've had that as they have the priority path in. You'll then follow suit. You'll follow suit behind, so be vigilant for signals at the beginning of the journey before embracing London's famous morning rush hour. So that doesn't necessarily sound like a completely clear run. Just see the neutral section coming into being, so we'll go off there. This is new textured, the cab and everything as well. There's been a lot of work put into it. It's completely new sounds. And I thought I'd just give this a run because literally I'm driving this on the very first night it's been released. Didn't know it was coming out tonight, so it's been a bit of a rush job getting this out. There we go, that was the neutral section, so we can fire back up to full power now. So what's changed? Well, it's the brand new Armstrong Powerhouse Class 92 Enhancement Pack, and it's $12.99 if you own the previous sound pack. And if you did own the previous pack, well, here's a list of things that have changed, updated in this pack. This is what is in the change log. We've tried to make this as comprehensive as possible, but there are most likely other changes we have forgotten to mention. This is the AP manual. External visuals redone and new liveries from the ground up with higher resolution visuals, 2D nameplates, many variations. New headlight, taillight visuals, original and LED. Projected light from the headlights fades in and out with day, night. Updated pantograph sparks to match our Class 86 and 87 packs. Down a coupler option for the relevant liveries. Should know the ruling really, shouldn't I? I bet there's all sorts of restrictions about sounding the horn at this time of the morning. It's probably not allowed in the least. So cab visuals, well, new cab camera angles for the Annunciator, GSM NRN and switch panel above driver, which I've not touched actually, probably should have done. Also amended the main driving angle, weathering and shading colour changes, higher quality gauges, new instrument lights and subtle light from the Annunciator at night. Improved visuals for line local, VCB local and ETS on or off indicators, a fault acknowledgement push button, FAP, no longer basic circular glows, improved cab lighting colour and range, improved data panel above the driver's head, which states loco number, cab end and maximum speed. Can't see it because it's so dark. Where are we? Yeah, there we are. Maximum speed 87 miles an hour. There you got all your stuff over here as well, haven't you? That's pretty smart. And up there as well. Excuse me. GSMR decal added to the GSMR phone. Maximum power control marking added. TPWS panel indicators illuminate during AWS self-test. Well, we heard that, of course. Higher quality NRN radio, GSMR radio added. Not totally sure that they're functional, but I could be wrong. I've only really had chance to have a quick play, but I couldn't get any sense of. But you are probably restricted because, of course, this is the DTG cab. Functionality: tread brake simulation, gradient correction, wheel slip protection, cold start, master key command, change to shift and W, instrument lights, key command change to I, speed set selector, common and full start. Well, we've worked all that out. All cab switches are now cab specific. For example, if you turn the master key in one cab, this won't move the master key in the other cab. Auto GSMR registration available. Ah, right, okay, pressing Control and G. Right, so we should do that then. I can't get anything to work on that. Perhaps I'm doing something wrong. Auto NRN registration available, pressing Control and N. Perhaps I should have done Control and G at the start, it might be my fault. The visible driver automatically moves to whichever cab you're in. Headlights not illuminated unless reverse is in forward. General fault illuminates. Oh, there's a manner of stuff, isn't there? The audio's quite crucial though, because the following sounds are new. Traction motor cooler group, outside only, dynamic brake, train loco brake, compressor, parking brake, pantograph up or down, sander, ticking Spirax valve transformer, VCB open close, brake squeal, flange, joints, inside and out, third rail, shoe clatter, bogey run, inside and out, cab buttons, 2 new horn variants, re-edited traction converter sounds, traction motors, pantograph, parking. So in short, there's a lot. Well, that's an awesome sight in itself, isn't it? Of course, this is in the summertime, so you wouldn't very much be in daylight as you're heading down the West Coast main line on the Caledonian Sleeper. Tried to change it to a bit sunnier as well, because the default scenario looked a bit on the grim side. I'm trying to move away a little bit from being grim, because January here in the UK, as I'm recording this, is quite grim, so it's nice to experience the summer. Of course, we've got a double track section before we have the Northampton loop line and the slow lines rejoining us. And then we will head towards Milton Keynes and Watford Junction, London Euston. I mean, I must confess I've been toying with the idea of buying the Mark V sleeper pack ever since it came out, because they do look good and there's plenty of value really, and opportunities for using them on other scenarios and possibilities. But just haven't got round to it, and the final nudge really was this new Class 92 pack. I mean, I've not driven the Class 92 in an absolute age, which is often the way of these things. And then I suddenly thought, right, this is the time to get it now, because there's something really exciting about the sleeper. And I don't know if it's just because of the glamour of the Orient Express, and you know, sort of Murder on the Orient Express, I suppose, and the films that have been done over the years, but there's something quite magical about the idea of getting on a train, hotel for the night, and then emerging in a different country perhaps the following morning. I mean, I've been on the Caledonian Sleeper, well, 3 times all in all. The last time, I was checking it actually, 2022. I was hoping to put some stunning photos and images from the journey up actually as part of this video, but I didn't really take very many as it goes, so I've kind of not done that at the moment. So that was from London Euston to Fort William, but it's just a magical experience. You know, you start off in the lounge at Euston, and then you know, have a few nibbles before you actually board the train, then sort of place your order for breakfast the following morning, have a wander along to the club car, have a nice meal and a couple of glasses of wine, and then just settle back, settle in your bed. And what a better way to get into sleep than the train sending you off to sleep. It doesn't feel too hurried. And then of course in the morning when you wake up, it's kind of coming daylight. You try and wake up a bit early because you want to enjoy the last hour or so of the journey, at least last couple of hours. Have some breakfast, and you're trundling along in the Highlands of Scotland. I mean, I've never actually done it the other way, come down south from Scotland and done the sleeper to Euston, but it's quite lovely waking up in Scotland in the morning. And you find as well the trains, the formations change completely, because they tend to split it up all over the place. It's going to take me a bit of getting the hang of this, the brakes on this thing, I think. But we're kind of remembering the fact that we aren't top priority, and there's absolutely no point in arriving at Euston too early. I mean, one thing I can say as well, going northbound, that I know they do quite a bit of shunting at Edinburgh, and I've never actually felt the movement and the jerking of the train when they've been doing the shunting, but I've always, without fail, woke up at Edinburgh, so it's clearly after all that's gone on, and it's obviously woke me up without realising. Well, I hope you're enjoying the new sounds, and it's conveying this train in a bit more depth than was previously. So do we have a red here? Yeah, we do. Just sort of slowly glide up to the signal. Again, just a feeling that you're in absolutely no rush. I'm always a bit concerned when it says that, approved, because is it really? That's the question. Well, the signal after that seems to be green, and then the one after that. So, I mean, the thing is, you always try and install the latest signal enhancement pack, but there's probably some patch that I've forgotten somewhere along the way. But I mean, it's an absolute age since I've driven the Class 92 with the original sound pack. I mean, I know some people have criticised the fact that you kind of get a sound pack, then an enhancement pack, and then it seems to be an improved enhancement pack. But I think in this case it was only ever a Class 92 sound pack, and then now this is this enhancement pack. You might well be chewing away on that breakfast as we speak. And again, something really pleasurable about having a lovely meal, a relaxing meal, a chilled out meal on a train. Particularly having slept on it as well. Of course, nowadays, I mean, there used to be a proliferation of sleeper trains that operated at night on both the West Coast Main Line, the East Coast Main Line, various destinations. But now, of course, we're pretty much restricted down to the two. I mean, the sleeper now for the Caledonian is split into two between the Lowland sleeper and the Highland sleeper. So you've got Glasgow and Edinburgh as destinations, and you've also got the likes of Aberdeen, Inverness and Fort William. I mean, on my 3 times on it, twice I've been to Fort William, once to Inverness. I must try Aberdeen. Never been to Aberdeen in my lifetime. I can't remember I know it's not the cheapest of things to do travelling on the Caledonian sleeper, but it's something that, you look at the prices. I think if you book well in advance, you'll get a better deal on it. But not only that, you've got to remember, I think breakfast is generally thrown in. Okay, you have to pay for your evening meal, but you're also paying for a night's accommodation and a train journey from London to Scotland as well. There's another neutral section, or advanced warning of the neutral section anyway. The other sleeper, of course, is the Night Riviera from Paddington, London Paddington through to Penzance, and that's operated by, it's diesel throughout, of course. That's a class 47. And they still use the Mark III carriages on the Night Riviera, though they have been refurbished and upgraded in the last few years. I don't think there's any plans to upgrade the Night Riviera to the Mark Vs. There are differing accommodation available on the Mark Vs, and certainly the last time, well, the only time I've been on the Mark V sleeper was a chance to have a shower in the morning. That was the first time I've ever had a shower on a train. So the Mark V pack that came out from Max Mortimer, well, over a year ago now, and just looking at the manual there, it says this third-party DLC pack for DTG's Train Simulator Classic adds a representation of the Mark V sleeper coaches built by Construction Auxiliaire de Ferrocarril, we'll call them CAF, of Spain. I mean, I can't do Spanish, that's for sure. In service with Caledonian Sleeper. These coaches are used on services from London, usually Euston, to Scotland, usually in 2 departures per night. A Lowlander that divides at Carstairs, splits towards Edinburgh, Waverley, Glasgow Central, and a Highlander service that divides at Edinburgh, Waverley, splits between Aberdeen, Inverness, and Fort William. Mark V coaches were introduced in 2019 to replace the aging Mark II and Mark III carriages on this service, which date back from previous decades. So fairly easy to install, and you don't even have to do it through the ATS installer now. It is available, by the way, from Alan Thomson Simulation, this pack. So what's included? This pack includes all 4 variants of the Mark V coaches. So the seated coach, the club coach, we saw the inside of that. Of course, the seated coach, there is actually seating accommodation if you don't want to actually go for a berth. And then the sleeper accessible coach, and we've looked at the different passenger views. Other features: custom sounds recorded from Mark V coaches where possible. Now, I have actually downloaded another sound mod from the Train Sim community website as well, so I think that even more involves Mark V carriage sounds. Automatic tail lights at the end of the consist. Just love the decals and how clear everything looks as well, sharp. I mean, they are a very smart looking train. Control and electric train supply cables between the coaches. Might be able to glimpse a view of that with a bit of effort. Probably better off actually. Yeah, I think if we're going to do that, we need to kind of pause the game and look at it properly. Should we do that? It's kind of giving me a headache trying to do it on the go. So if we I think I need... Oh, wait a minute. I know what I've done. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. Corridor lights are on the sleeper coaches. They dim after departure. Scenario configuration destination display showing coach letter, destination service type. Well, there's a few scenarios included as well. We've got one on the West Coast Main Line North. This is the one we're doing, Inverness and Aberdeen to London Euston, 1 mile 16. We got London King's Cross to Edinburgh. That's basically a diversionary one. It happens occasionally. And you would use the King's Cross to King's Lynn route to make that work. Get a normal view again. You can get a bit distracted sometimes, it's fair to say. You can see how well the livery is done there. Nice track joint sound as well there, really, really clear and crisp. and it's a pretty good way to stretch its legs as well. And I mean, it's perfectly possible actually on Train Sim Classic to do the full nighttime or run from London Euston to Fort William. Of course, the problem with that is that most of it would be at night time, needless to say. But I mean, you do have the bonus if you do it kind of with the summer run, and you've got this sort of situation where, you know, quite a bit of it would be in the daylight. So we hurtle through Bletchley. And of course, Train Sim World 5 owners will be very familiar of the section of line that we're on now between Milton Keynes Central and London Euston. I mean, some of it's not quite so detailed in terms of the scenery, but still holds up pretty nicely. I mean, we've got the Armstrong Powerhouse vegetation pack. Just to say, you know, I'm not here to just support Armstrong Powerhouse, but it certainly does make a difference, I think, to the overall look. I mean, I've said it before, but I'd love to see a sleeper pack done for Train Sim World 5, but I just can't see it happening because it's kind of got that limited use. I mean, they couldn't actually do it on the West Coast Main Line over Shap because, again, the idea of a 92, it's the wrong era. I think the best thing we could hope for would be a Mark III sleeper pack, and that would kind of be of use for both sections really, because you could use it in the older era that the West Coast Main Line over Shap is set, and the modern day setting, because of course prior to these Mark V's being used, it was the 87 and it was the Mark III sleepers. What does the annunciator say here? DLF monitor recognized level exceedance. Press fault acknowledgement push button. Well, I was just guessing there. I thought, is it F for fault? And it is. Thank goodness for that, because we were decreasing on speed. I don't know if that's a neutral section I missed or something like that. Slightly flying by the seat of the pants and driving this straight out of the pack because I've not really had a proper chance to study it in depth. And of course we are getting to that stage in the morning. I mean, it's now approaching 7:18, so you are going to get the feeling of the early morning rush hour as we hurtle towards London Euston. Surely it's acceptable to be sounding your horn at 7:20 in the morning, isn't it? I mean, I just hope really it's a pack that I'm not going to completely not use now that I've got it. Now, I saw that reminder for the neutral section. I'd love to know and remember exactly where they are, but I'm afraid I'm way short of that. I was intending, by the way, for the midweek video to come up this week to be the part 2 of the Friday charter, but I wasn't quite expecting this enhancement pack to be coming out quite so soon. Here's the neutral section. Excuse me. Love how you can hear there the motor's just grinding back up again. I mean, just looking through the actual manual too, I mean, we've got all sorts of liveries. I mean, there's a load of British rail freight ones, including EWS, DB Schenker, GBRF, and the Caledonian Sleeper, of course, which is what we're riding on now. I mean, there is a screen where you can look at the annunciator for cooling and ventilation, for instance. It displays the temperature of the traction motors, traction converters and transformer. Also shows the current ventilation level. Arrows indicate the temperature at which the traction pack will lower tractive effort. So how do we... Oh, page up or page down. Right, that's what we do with those. Hang on then. That's the temperature. Yeah, that tells us that we are doing 80 miles an hour. That's quite a decent one to use. We've got a 350 and 319 combination here, I think. Temperature simulation. Depending on the locomotive power output, traction converter temperature is calculated from the transformer and traction motor temperature. If traction converter temperature reaches above 63 degrees Celsius, ventilation level 3 is activated. The cooler group fans speed up. If the traction converter temperature reaches 65 degrees Celsius or above, available power is lowered and a fault is shown on the annunciator, which needs to be acknowledged by pressing the fault acknowledge push button. That's the fat button, that's the F key. Well, I think we got that actually. Ventilation level 3 will deactivate and full power will be restored once the converter temperature falls to 50 degrees Celsius. Right, I'm not sure then with the GSMR. It might be that this scenario, of course, was made before this pack, because it's been very, very hurriedly added in today. And I have to say, tremendous thanks that the creator of this Mark 5 pack has put this in straight away. Arcing pantograph. Special attention being given to simulating the arcing between the pantograph and the overhead wire. From 1 hour after sunrise to 1 hour after sunset, there is only light arcing. Probably not going to see it massively in the day, are we? Oh yeah, we did see a little twitch there. I think that was it. Arcing becomes more frequent as you gain speed. When arcing, you will visually see it on the pantograph, which illuminates the area around it to a varying degree with each arc. Please note that the illumination of the surrounding area will only occur after sunset before sunrise. This is to avoid the unrealistic appearance of projected light in broad daylight. So obviously, yeah, if it's night time, it's going to be more dramatic. There's a cold start, bits and bobs. We have a comprehensive selection of 2D nameplates are included for all liveries, various cab visual improvements such as higher quality gauge lit indicators, 1 second delay between the train passing over the AWS magnet, headlight only provides illumination before sunrise and after sunset. As per reality, the speedometer needle wobbles when providing a reading. That's the brake gauge, isn't it? Don't really have a speedometer on this, do you? Annunciator casts a subtle light at night. Well, again, we're daytime. There's a few other bits and pieces as well. Yeah, there's a bit of work, I think, just to add the GSMR for the scenario. I mean, it might be possible they've done it and I just didn't do it at the start. That's the problem. So there's 3 scenarios included, which is 6 Sierra 75, the 1045 Sheerness to Moss End. That's the West Coast Main Line South, so that's covering Wembley Yard to Milton Keynes Central. So obviously in northbound. That's a 1 hour scenario. And we're using 92022. That's set in the year 2000. And then Warrington Arpley to Wembley Yard, also West Coast Main Line South. Again Milton Keynes Central though, this time to Wembley Yard. So again the other way. And then in third rail, it's Wembley Yard to Dollans Moor, which is, we'll cover Latchmere Junction to Swanley in GB Rail Freight 92032, and that's on the Chatham Main Line, London Victoria to Dover and Ramsgate. It's a good read in itself. The manual gives a lot of background information. And also, I mean, it's been a troublesome train over the years. It hasn't actually had as much use as was really intended. So I mean, just looking at Wikipedia, I mean, the British Rail Class 92 dual voltage electric loco run on 25 kV AC, 750 volt DC third rail. It was designed specifically to operate through the Channel Tunnel between Great Britain and France. Eurotunnel indicates the Class 92 loco as the reference for other locos which railway undertakings might want to get certified for usage in the Channel Tunnel. Locomotives operated by GB Rail Freight Euro Port 2 DB Cargo UK. France, a number were also owned and operated by SNCF. The Class 92 was intended as a mixed traffic loco both for hauling international freight and the ill-fated, never introduced Nine-Star passenger sleeper train through the Channel Tunnel. Since introduction, the fleet was exclusively allocated to freight. However, in March 2015, 6 locomotives owned by GB Rail Freight have begun passenger operations hauling the Caledonian Sleeper. Well, that's what we're doing now. Now, what I'm kind of interested in is some of the issues with it, because they were technologically really too advanced, and there have been problems with them over the years. They just haven't been utilised. Yeah, it doesn't really mention anything on the wiki page. I mean, again, just looking on kind of a forum, there were 2 primary reasons, somebody says, for the limited use of 92s in the UK. The main one is that there are very few trains for them to work. It is cheaper for DB to store the locomotives than maintain them with no work. The second is that their power draw is very high. They can cause electrical interference with signalling and power supply systems. This requires routes where 92s work to be fitted with electrical shielding, higher standard of equipment or greater maintenance checks. Yeah, I thought there was something along those lines. It's slightly bugging me about the Avanti West Coast. I think there's so many mods to upgrade those Pendolinos. For some reason we're stuck with a one carriage in Virgin livery but with Avanti branding, so rather unique. So we've gone through Kings Langley, we've just gone under the M25 and we are very shortly going to hurtle through Watford Junction. These are the Watford tunnels. I think I'm right in saying as well, if you're a fare paying passenger on the Caledonian Sleeper, you can actually, I think, go into the lounge after you arrive into Euston. And I would imagine that the vast majority, probably even the most sleepy of Caledonian Sleeper passengers, are probably more or less awake now, because it's kind of getting towards the last part of the journey, the last few minutes, that section between Watford Junction and London Euston. It's certainly true to say that the Trace World 5 version is superior graphically, but we've still got a better variety of stock. It's that age-old argument, and it's one that we've talked about quite a bit on the live streams about the difference in quality, but both have got very much an advantage, and I kind of can't get rid of both. Well, I wouldn't get rid of both, but what I mean is I still want to play both, because until we get to a stage where Trains and World 5 has just about everything available that we have on Train Sim Classic, then there's still virtues with both, and I think it'll be a long time before we get up to that standard with TSW5. I mean, we're getting there slowly. There's some great add-ons, and there's still plenty of great add-ons to come out, hopefully during 2025. start off, you can't do a Class 92 in the Caledonian Sleeper on Train Sim World 5. So again, you might just be finishing off that breakfast. Might still be on the bed, just getting a few more minutes sleep before getting to London Euston. So what do I think of the pack overall? Well, I think I can't really remember what the sounds were like on the original pack, but I'm quite certain that this is an improvement, and certainly you can nice and clearly hear the electric motors. I think the texturing and the detail looks nice, crisp. And I'm really pleased to finally purchase the Mark 5 sleepers. Of course, it's not necessary by any stretch of the imagination, because you can get plenty of use on the 92 with freight workings, with other bits and pieces. The great roar of the motor there, I think that's tremendously well done. So, you know, I'm certainly a fan and very pleased to have bought this 92 pack on the opening night. Maybe I'm easily pleased, I don't know, but yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. So, not totally certain yet, but kind of makes me think I'm sure there's going to be a 92 scenario in the live stream at some point on Sunday. I've got a feeling there'll be a whole plethora of scenarios going up for it fairly soon. I mean, that's always the shame with Train Sim Classic, and that is one thing that TSW5 is hugely superior with, having that 24-hour timetable. The neutral section. There's that sound again, amazing. We are going to be racing through Wembley Central anytime soon. Certainly don't have to think about the speed limit a lot on this run, because we've essentially been pretty much able to do 80 more or less throughout the run since Rugby. It's quite an interesting scenario actually to have the train stabled at, I presume it's from Wilston, and drive it through the sidings to get it into service into Euston for the nighttime sleeper. I think when I rode on it as the Mark with the Mark 5 sleepers, I think it was in 2021 or 22 from memory. 21 I think it was, and there was certainly a GBRF 92 at the terminus end of Euston Station. Don't think I ever actually walked up to have a look at the front of the train. It was actually a Class 73 that hauled us into Fort William. So Queen's Park, of course, where the Bakerloo line trains would leave us. There was a time years ago when the fast line platforms were in use. No idea why the platforms are still in situation. Why would they still be in situ? I don't know. It's really useful to have a look at that. It shows you exactly where you are on the brake gauge then. Certainly had a clear run anyway, unless we get held up on the very approach to Euston. I mean, this is where the scenery lets us down slightly, because we haven't got that wonderful model of the Alexandra Road estate flats by the side, and also we got some very generic looking apartment blocks at the very approach to Euston, but apart from that, it's pretty decent. So it's just been a very, very quick recording. I've literally only had time tonight to download the pack, have a very, very quick look at the manual, and then pick up the train and take it from Rugby to London Euston. And just again, perhaps to emphasise, because the two don't necessarily automatically go together. I mean, they certainly go hand in hand in terms of the use of them, but you need the Class 92 from Dovetail Games, from Steam. You then need the Armstrong Powerhouse new Enhancement Pack, and if you want to operate the Class Mark 5 sleepers, they are from Alan Thomson Simulation.com, and it's a pack made by Max Mortimer. Very nice it is too. We just basically got Camden Bank to descend down now. We are going to arrive into platform 15, so that'll be on the right hand side as we look. Platform 15 of 16. It always departs from platform 1 pretty much at night time. It's a very steep descent down Camden Bank. I think we are signalled into the platform anyway. Kind of see the exaggerated descent there. I like the brakes though, they're very easy to control, I have to say. The view of the wheel flange there. Looks half decent, doesn't it? Almost be fairly easy to drive this without the hood, really, because of the lack of need to change speed massively. We need to move forward a little bit because we are such a long train. Actually, we need to get the whole of the train in. Anyway, let's call that done. So just a last look at the club car. And again, that's the double bunk bed. Great run, driver. A colleague will bring a loco over from Wembley to take this back to the depot. Time for a well-earned breakfast and a cuppa. Scenario complete by Crankybot. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. That was the first look at the brand new Armstrong Powerhouse Class 92 Enhancement Pack and the not so new Mark 5 sleeper carriages from Max Mortimer from Alan Thomson Sim.com. My first look at both, and I very much enjoyed that, and I hope very much I'll be driving those again sometime soon. So that's it from me for now, and if you enjoyed the video, hope you've enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. If you do, I'd be tremendously grateful. The live streams usually take place on Sunday at 5 o'clock. But from now, from me, from Powerflower, Trains and Planes, it's bye-bye.